Hello, this is McD the Beast, and this is McD Sports 4 coming to you today with my Miami football predictions for the 2019 college football season. Before I continue, don't forget to hit that thumbs up button and please subscribe to the channel. That will be greatly appreciated if you do that, and you won't regret it. Miami football, a team that's getting very hyped up this year. The Canes are getting hyped up. I'm going to go through the pros and cons for the Canes. Then I'll go through the best case and worst case scenario for you all. Your three toughest and three easiest games. Then I'll go through the schedule game by game and tell you if Miami's going to win or lose that game and give you a score, give you a final record prediction and a conference record prediction, and we'll get on out of here. So, anyways, let's start off with the pros for Miami. The first pro is the talent. The talent on Miami is pretty good throughout. If you're a Miami fan, you should be pretty confident about your talent throughout the whole team, offensively and defensively. I know offensively it was a bit of a struggle last year, but the talent is there for Miami offensively. It's just it has to be coached and play calls have to be used, and the play calls have to be play calls that the Miami offense, that talent can succeed. Your second pro is the defense. Listen, the Miami defense might be top 10 this year. It's a very good defense. They're going to hold a lot of teams to under 20 points, in my opinion, or right about at 20 points. So overall, the Miami defense, that's your second pro, and then your third pro, the schedule. I'll show you the schedule here in a minute, but let me tell you something. If Miami does not go 9-3 with this schedule, it is a disappointment for Miami. I mean, you gotta go 9-3 with that schedule, and I'm going to show you all the schedule here in a minute. Now, two cons: the quarterback position. The Koski Perry, he hasn't proved anything to me. Martell Tate, he's the transfer quarterback. He's had awful spring practice, so I mean, what is Miami going to do at quarterback position? Is the quarterback position going to be Miami's Achilles heel? I've spoken to several Miami fans. They're pretty confident that Nikoski Perry is going to be the starting quarterback, and they're confident in him. That's great, but is he going to prove himself this season? I mean, and it's a new coaching staff and all, but is he going to prove himself? And then the second con, the hype. Miami fans, let me tell you something. Your team's getting very overhyped right now, in my opinion. I feel like Miami might not live up to the hype. Some people are saying best case scenario 12-0, worst case scenario 10-2. I don't know if Miami can live up to that hype. So we'll see what happens, but I think the hype is definitely a con for Miami. So let's go through the best case and worst case scenario. With the schedule here, I put down the best case scenario 12-0. If they could get past Florida, they should be able to get past the rest of these games. And their worst case scenario is 7-5. They could slip up. They could slip up in a few places like they did last season. I'm looking at the Florida game, both Virginia games, Virginia and Virginia Tech, the Florida State game, the Duke, the Pitt game, even the North Carolina game. I'll throw that in there. I mean, a lot of these teams are going to be very competitive this year that Miami is facing. So they could slip up in a few places, the Miami Hurricanes. Your three toughest games are Florida, Virginia, and Florida State. Florida is probably your toughest game of the year in week 0, August 24th for ESPN. The game is a neutral site game in Orlando. It's going to be a very tough game for Miami. You're already a 8-point underdog, I believe, last time I checked. So, I mean, Miami's going to go into that game underdogs, and it's going to be tough for Miami, in my opinion. And we already did our Florida football predictions, so you already know who I have in that game for the season predictions. Virginia, listen, Virginia to me is the ACC Coastal is going to come down to Virginia and Miami, in my opinion. That game could be for the ACC Coastal, so definitely a game to circle if you are a Miami fan. Bryce Perkins is a very good quarterback. He's better than anything Miami has, in my opinion. and Bronco Mendenhall is a very good coach as well. And speaking about the coaching for Florida, and not for Florida, speaking about the coaching for Miami, Manny Diaz, I know a lot of fans like him. I know the players. There was a report saying his players will run through a brick wall for him. That's great. He needs to prove it for me to say that he's a great coach. He's a defensive coordinator becoming a head coach. He was going to be the Temple head coach, but now he's going to be the Miami head coach. So we'll see what happens, but I gotta see it on the field with Manny Diaz before I give an assessment about him. And then your third toughest game, Florida State. It's an in-state rivalry game. It's on the road. It always seems to be a close game that could go either way. Brings the best out both teams. So that's your third toughest game. Now your three easiest games are Bethune-Cookman, Central Michigan, and Louisville. Bethune-Cookman, I don't know what that is. I know it's an FCS opponent, but that should be a very easy win for Miami. Central Michigan, yeah, they have They have Jim McElwain. Um, that's really the only thing I know about them, to be honest with you. Central Michigan, uh, they're not that good of a football team. The Central Michigan Clippers, I believe, is what they're called. So, yeah, I expect Miami to steamroll in that. And then Louisville, that's your third easiest game. Is between them and FIU. FIU, I think last year was a bit of a fluke, but Louisville, they're going to be bad this year. I know that for a fact. So that's why I went with Louisville for your third easiest game. Now I'm going to go through the schedule, tell you which games Florida, and not Florida, damn it. I'm going to tell you which games Miami is going to win or lose, basically, and give you a score, and we'll get on out of here with a record prediction and conference record prediction as well. So Miami in week 0, they moved this game up to week 1 from week 0. The Florida-Miami game is a neutral site game in Orlando, Florida. If you saw my Florida video, you already know who I have in this one. But I have Florida winning this game. I have a 23-16 Florida. It's going to be a low-scoring game, kind of. If 23-16, that's kind of a low-scoring game right there. I just think Florida is a better team than Miami. Now, Miami could go on the field, and we could be underhyping them because I know they're getting overhyped right now, in my opinion. But that the overhype might be real, and I might just be underhyping them, and they could go out there and win that game. I don't know, like 31-14 or something like that. But I'm gonna go with, as of right now, with my predictions. I have the safe pick, and I have Florida winning 23-16. I think the Florida offense will be the difference. I think the Florida offense is better than the Miami offense. And then Miami, they get their first bye out of 3 byes. They have 3 byes because of them moving that game up to week 0. Every team gets 2 byes because of how the schedule aligns on the calendar. But Miami gets 3 byes because they moved that game up to week 0. But coming off the bye, they start ACC play on the road against North Carolina. This is a team that Miami blew out last year, like 47-10. We even did a recap on that for some reason. But Miami should be favored going into this one. North Carolina, there's a lot of hype around that team as well. North Carolina fans want to think that they're going to be 7-5, 8-4 since Mac Brown is back. North Carolina, they didn't recruit bad this year, but they are definitely 2 or 3 years away from being at least a 7 or 8 win team. I expect Miami to go into North Carolina into Chapel Hill and win that game. I think North Carolina does stay in it for the first half, but I think Miami pulls away in the second half. I have it 42-20 Miami. Next game, Bethune-Cookman. That's an FCS opponent. Miami wins 48-3. Next game, Central Michigan. So as I said, the only thing about Central Michigan I know about is that they have Jim McElwain. He won the SEC East with Florida twice as their head coach. And I do think Central Michigan might be in that game for a quarter, but even then, Miami should win this game very easy. I have it 45-13 Miami in this one. Next game, actually not next game, Miami gets their second bye of the season. And then coming off that bye, they get Virginia Tech at home. Virginia Tech is a team that's looking to bounce back some after last season. Last season, you gotta consider that season a disappointment for Virginia Tech. I mean, they lost to Old Dominion, so that's pretty embarrassing. I expect Miami to beat Virginia Tech. The game's in Miami. It's to me, Miami's just a better team overall than Virginia Tech, and I think that's the difference. And Miami wins this game 28-16. Next game is a Friday night game against Virginia at home. Virginia is a team that beat Miami last year. I think it was 17-13 or something like that. I expect the game to be similar, pretty low scoring. These are probably two out of the three top defenses going at it in the ACC, behind Clemson. So you're looking at Virginia. They have that very good quarterback, as I said, in Bryce Perkins, but they don't really have much around him. They do have a great head coach in Bronco Mendenhall. I went back and forth. I said Miami's going to win this game. Miami usually likes showing up on a Thursday and Friday night. I said Miami's going to squeak by. I have a 13-10 Miami. I mean, for some reason, I just think Miami's just going to squeak by in that one. Next game, Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech is a team. They're a bit of a wild card right now because we don't know if what type of offense we're going to see. The defense is going to be okay this year for Georgia Tech, but I don't think it'll really matter. I have Miami winning this game very easily, 44-14. I don't expect Georgia Tech to be in this game that much at all. I think Georgia Tech's going to be bad for 2 or 3 years as they're trying to retool that whole program because Paul Johnson left after he decided to run the triple option. Now they're going to run a pro-style offense and a real college football offense. Next game at Pitt. Pitt is a team that won the ACC Coastal last season before getting smoked by Clemson. And they didn't really get smoked by Clemson. They just got beat down more than anything. Pitt, they're not a bad team, but they're not a good team. The game is in Pitt. It is in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. That does concern me a little bit if at 4 on Miami. I went back and forth. They're going to be looking ahead to that Florida State game. I gave Miami a loss here. I have a 24-20 Pitt in this one. I just think this is maybe a little bit of a trap game for Miami, and also Miami. I don't think they're going to play well. They might not play as well on the road this year. I don't think they'll be as well as a road team this year. I think they'll get a lot of their. I think they'll play well at home, but that's it. I don't think they're going to be a good road team this year. Speaking about road games, the next game is Florida State on the road. This is a rivalry game. This usually brings out the best out of both teams. Last season, this game was close, even though Florida State wasn't really good at all. Neither was Miami, really. Well, Miami was decent last year. It's just the offense kind of choked some games away. But if you look at Florida State, this is a big year for Willie Taggart. He's definitely on the hot seat. I did a video saying coaches on the hot seat, and he's definitely one that I threw on there. You look at Florida State; they're starting this kid Blackman. He's gonna. We saw him play some before. He's not that bad. Uh, you look at the Florida State defense. The Florida State defense is actually pretty decent. I went back and forth with this one. I gave it to Florida State. I think Florida State wins the rivalry game this year, 28-23. I just think Florida State, the game being in Tallahassee, and Miami being on the road is not going to be a good formula. As I said a few seconds ago, I don't think Miami's going to be a good road team this year. Next game, Louisville at home. This will be a win. I don't expect Louisville to be in this game. Miami is a much better team than Louisville as they are rebuilding for years to come. Then Miami gets their third bye, and then coming off the bye, they get to play a game against FIU. They're saying it's a road game for Miami. It's really a neutral site game. It's in the Marlins Park where the Miami Marlins play. FIU is a school that's down in the Miami area as well. FIU had a decent year last year. I think they went 9-4, if I'm not mistaken. I do think it's a little bit of a fluke, though. I will say that. I'll be upfront with that. At Miami winning this game, they're just a much better team than FIU, in my opinion. I have a 37-20. I do think this is kind of a rivalry game. As a matter of fact, I think it is a rivalry game. I do think this is a rivalry game kind of because these teams got in a fight, I think, many years ago on the field in the rain. But I have Miami winning this game 37. Excuse me, I have Miami winning this game 37-20. Uh, FIU will be in it for a half, but Miami pulls away in the second half. And then the last game at Duke. Duke is a team that they're going to be kind of rebuilding. They're going to be in transition this year. They have a new quarterback this year. The head coach, though, for Duke is very good. His name escapes me. But overall, Miami's a better team. I do have Miami going up to Duke too on Durham and beating Miami, and I have Miami beating Duke 27-20. I just think that Miami's just a better team. Miami should have a better offense and defense, so that would be a plus. And the talent's just better. So I have Miami beating Duke 27-20. So if you've been keeping track of the wins and losses, you see that I have Miami going 9-3 with a 6-2 conference record. 9-3 with a 6-2 conference record. Miami, that might be good enough to win the Coastal. That might not be good enough to win the Coastal. 6-2 in the ACC. But overall, you just look at Miami. I think it's a year too early for Miami. A lot of people think that this team's going 11-1. We're going 11-1, and then we're going to face Clemson and lose to them again. New Year's Six Bowl and go 12-2. I think it's a year too early for Miami personally. 2020, I think, will be the year for Miami. Manny Diaz, a first-year head coach. First-year head coaches always seem to have some bumps in the road, so definitely something to keep your eye on there. But 9-3 with a 6-2 conference record. And by the way, Miami fans, in case you get pissed at me about this prediction, there's no hate for the Miami Hurricanes. This is just an honest prediction. 9-3 with a 6-2 conference record. But anyways, thanks for watching the video. Don't forget to hit the thumbs up button and please subscribe to the channel. That'll be greatly appreciated if you do that. Thanks for watching, and this is McD the Beast signing off.